process that I understand and I kind of like vibe with quite a bit. And that is like, okay, if first of all, usually when I approach a drawing, I don't really have like an idea, a set, like a very specific idea in mind. Most of the time I will start off with like very basic geometric shapes, like circles, squares, triangles, whatever. And then at some point, and then like randomly, I'll just like add color or shading a little bit here and there. And then like gradually, if I, for example, if I see that like a composition maybe looks kind of interesting or dramatic to me, I'll continue with it. And then over time, I'll just keep adding like little shapes and colors and stuff here and there. And then more distinct kind of like forms or ideas or objects or figures start to like kind of pop up. If that makes sense. It's, I guess in a way it'd be like working from like an abstract level into more specificity. So like looking at an abstract painting, for example, I think some people tend to focus on different aspects of it. Like whether it's the colors, whether it's like they see specific things. I think some people, when they look at abstract paintings, they just kind of don't really have much thought or opinion on it, which is fine as well. I'm talking abstract paintings more in the sense of like geometric kind of random colors splashed around sort of thing. So yeah, personally, whenever I tend to look at like abstract paintings or even just like textures on like walls like this, or outside, I'll tend to like see like faces or figure like right there that looks to me like a figure with like their leg kind of like their one leg down and then one leg sort of like posed upwards in a way, like they're doing, like they're balancing on one leg kind of thing. So like that, I sort of just see a lot of, I tend to see a lot of like objects and figures in kind of like non-distinct textures and stuff like that. And so a lot of times that's how I approach drawings, which is like, that is like, okay, I'm gonna start with a bunch of random shapes and colors and stuff, and then it would just kind of look like a mess. But after a while, things will kind of like clarify bit by bit, little by little, and yeah, that's there isn't as much like a step-by-step thing where I'm like, oh, I have to finish the line art, and then once I do that, I can add the colors or whatever. No, a lot of times I will like add colors and then like clarify a section with line art, or like even if I feel like a drawing is or a section is like very detailed or complete or whatever, then I'll go back and like doodle over it with like rough sketches or something. And yeah, it's just more of, to me it's just a little bit more fun this way and more approachable. I don't feel like I'm usually the type to like follow steps in a very rigorous way when it comes to like certain things. But oh shoot, okay. But yeah, I hope that. Well, another thing is that I think supposedly one of the lead animators at Disney, I forgot what their name was, also had they were either like an artist or an animator or like a creative director. They had supposedly they had aphantasia as well. And so, but if you look at their drawings, it's like, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was someone else, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's like this lead of like a pretty renowned creative art studio at the time, or you know, drawing and animation studio at the time, just didn't see images in their head and was somehow made it there, and that totally makes sense to me. Um, it's like, yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. It just makes sense. And oh, oh. So yeah, I hope that clarifies things. I just wanted to talk about this subject a little bit because I don't know. It's like it's one of those things. Like, here's a bunch of information about me. Please don't bully me with it or whatever. But I have mixed feelings about that meme. It's like I don't. I don't really. I understand why that meme pops up a lot of times. I just think it is. I mean, like a lot of sociocultural spaces online just tend to be very distinct and have very very like, yeah, just very distinct like characteristics and like social cues and like signaling things to those spaces where for example if like a person kind of expresses themselves otherwise or in a way that's just like seemingly more core to themselves, it just might be like I don't know. It's a complicated topic too, because I think there's a part of it that's like in an online environment and space, there should be a little bit of consideration, I guess, when it comes to like posting about personal information and stuff like that, for obvious reasons now at this point. But the drawback is that I think a lot of people feel very isolated as well. We're very paranoid, maybe like schizotypal probably, where it's like, okay, for example, like somebody that can be very into like technology and OPSEC, like operational security, when it comes to like cybersecurity and stuff like that, which I don't really know that much about, but they can like download some very obscure Ubuntu Linux distro or whatever, and then create like the most secure as possible, perfect, non-hackable, traceable environment. They only use like certain web explorers that follow this like non-traceable or less traceable protocol or what. I don't know how that stuff works that at all almost, but it is kind of interesting to me. But anyway, it's like I feel like there is that type of person, and it's very valid. Like there are definitely a lot of concerns online now in terms of like, okay, well there's like user info that's being kind of exploited by tons of like large companies and databases and stuff, and just sort of like sold and passed around. And then two, there's more like direct concerns, so like doxing and like address and like personal information regarding like someone's family or friends or just like anything like that. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of considerations to consider. Considerations to consider? Yeah, there are a lot of hold on. Maybe this one. Yeah, there are a lot of things to consider when it comes to, you know, posting online. So I think naturally a lot of people will opt for kind of like a persona sort of thing, like a persona account that maybe is like part of like a fandom space, like a media fandom space or something, and then they'll like role play as a character or something like adjacent to a character in that setting, or just come up with like an OC or like a self-sona or something like that, and yeah, just like apply like layers of abstraction between like one's, I guess, more IRL self to like as opposed to like one's online persona or whatever. And in a lot of ways that's totally valid. I just think it's a lot of the times there will be people that are like, this doesn't feel like it's enough, maybe, for whatever reason, and they just kind of want to speak things that are more pertain to their like core truth or whatever, or just like express themselves in a way that isn't always as like tied to a sort of like fandom space or community or specific community online or something like that. And so yeah, there's just it is this like very kind of delicate balance between like personal expression and wanting to like share and express about oneself in an online space, but also navigating a lot of like potential like dangers and stuff like that, whether they're perceived or actually there. I don't know. It kind of depends. And hold on. I think that might be enough. But yeah, anyway, honestly, what sort of like kicked a lot of this off for me, or like what kicked off this sort of little like talk, I guess, for me, or discussion topic for me, was like yesterday. I got like a bunch of random recommended videos on my like For You page, and I feel like a lot of them lately have this like genre or feel of like person kind of looking at camera and just like ranting or yapping about some sort of topic for like 10 to 20 minutes. And I mean, honestly, I've seen that sort of genre for a while now, but there are like some they're just like a little bit more interesting to me. And yeah, so there's like some people that are just like, oh, I don't really care anymore. Like, I'm just gonna talk about whatever, post whatever, and talk about whatever. And yeah, I kind of resonate with that a little bit more recently. I feel like it gets to a point where there's just a lot of like pent up sentiment, or like not pent up, like there's like a lot of bottled up sentiment and like emotions and feelings or whatever online in a lot of like spaces. And so, but then the problem is that it's like, I think usually it's just there's a lot of embarrassment mostly, or like shame, when it comes to like expressing certain things, because it's like, oh, how am I going to be perceived, or like, am I going to be like outcasted forever? Am I like going to have to flee into the forest or something, and hope for the best? Like a lot of that I feel like is I mean, I feel like it continuously happens in sort of like waves, sort of. But yeah, anyway, I think it's like, then there are some people I feel like that are so tired and like annoyed or agitated or just like done with things that they almost become like the medium or the channel for a lot of other people, other beings, like repressed sentiments and stuff like that. So for example, like a community of, I don't know, a community of like Therians, for example, could have like sort of like vague sort of complaints about aspects of the community or something, either like the Therian or like furry community or something. They sense that there are like some parts of the community may sense that there are like some aspects of the community that they just don't really agree with or vibe with. And then but then there will be a lot of like worry in terms of like somebody expressing these things, because it's like maybe the overall sentiment is not yet completely in alignment with that or something like that. So it would just be like a lot of like bottled up repressed feelings about certain things in like an online space. But then and then at some point I think there are just like some types of people that are just like whatever, like YOLO swag kind of thing. I don't know. Like they just like say whatever, or they're just kind of like done with things, and then they're like, I'm just gonna speak whatever's on my mind, and they'll just like talk and express things in a way that just seems a little bit more like a little bit more like core to what they're feeling, I guess, or sensing in a more open way as well, sort of. And so yeah, then naturally when this happens, then there will be people like in a comment section or something, or in a discussion, that are like, oh my goodness, thank you, this is literally what I've been feeling for like years of my life. Like I thought I was going crazy or something. And yeah, this sort of like scenario just plays out continuously in waves, in my opinion, in like any online ecosystem. Like I don't really feel like, for example, if a fandom comes back, so to speak, like if a fandom thing, for example, has like a resurgence, I don't even think that's that I feel like that almost happens all the time with like a bunch of different fandoms. It's just like I think it's more about like alignment with somebody's like sort of consciousness in an online space, and then like once their sort of like, I guess, general consciousness is aligned with a certain mode, then these videos start to like pop up more, in my opinion, but I could be a little bit wrong about that. I mean, it could be a little bit of both, where like overall sort of like macro trends kind of pop in and out in more of like a large scale way, sort of. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if any of that made sense, but anyway. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to make this video about aphantasia specifically. It's because, I mean, it's just one of those things. I feel like it probably has had somewhat significant impact on my life without me like realizing it, sort of. It mostly in the way of like, it's more of a subtle thing, I think, where I always did feel like a little bit misaligned, sort of, with a lot of peers growing up. I don't know if this, I think this is probably just like one of the things. I think there's a lot more, but like this is one of the things. Like, for example, in a classroom setting, like while most of the other kids were like putting their heads down and imagining this like intricate scenario or whatever, in their like visual imagination or whatever, I just like I would just have my head down, and I mean I would imagine sort of and follow along, but I just wouldn't see pictures. And like I did truly always think, like, I didn't even think about it, like I didn't even think like what, I didn't even like consider what the teacher could have meant by something like, oh, picture with your mind's eye, or visualize as you close your eyes. Like it didn't, that kind of wording always felt like some sort of elaborate metaphor or abstract metaphor or something that is just like kind of vague, or like, yeah, just sort of like a vague thing that everybody, like vague wording, like vague abstract wording for like concepts or whatever. But yeah, I didn't quite realize that, I didn't entirely realize that, like, for a lot of people, they do very much just see like visual imagery and stuff, and that's totally cool. Hold on. Okay. Okay. We're gonna try something now. We're just gonna try this way, and hope this is enough. Okay. I could have just gone this way. Maybe I'm gonna use this. Yeah, I might as well. I got nothing. I have like no items. Okay. Okay, I think this is... Okay, so I'm pretty sure the cave was supposed to be around here somewhere, because I do feel like it's starting to curve. Is it? Oh, I think it's that. I have no items. I can't even get to it. Oh. If there's a snow thing here. Okay, there is. I don't know if I have enough time. I'm not even sure if it is that. Is there a rope there? Okay, I think there is. I need one more. There's definitely not enough time. Go, 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 go. Okay, there? Okay, well, okay, at least I know where the cave is now. So that's a start. Yeah, I think I'll just end the video there, and this is probably one of the videos that I'm going to upload today, because I just think it's more of a pertinent or specific topic. I don't know if I'm going to edit this one down, because I'm just lazy with editing sometimes. So I feel like if I edit this down to like a 10 to 20 minute thing, and I entitled it like yapping about aphantasia while playing WHUCKLE, I almost feel like it could probably reach some sort of like algorithm thing a little bit more, but I am also just kind of lazy, so I'm probably not going to edit it, but I will upload this today, probably. And yeah.